Okay, those people that the psychologists and psychiatrists have no doubt about. This person cares about, number one, this person has learned, in an effort to charm others, how to imitate empathy. He can act like he feels sad with you when you're sad. But what you do with a person like this, I don't know why we're talking about psychopaths in my new church, but might as well. Let's establish it. First of all, I think we're all fucking animals, and I don't really put psychopaths on a wall and throw knives at them in my mind. I kind of feel sorry for them. I don't know if it's not like a disability. It just makes them fucking dangerous is what it does, and they usually don't last long. You know, they end up in prison, or they end up in an institution, or they end up killing themselves or someone else. They wouldn't kill themselves unless it was completely through neglect. A psychopath is concerned about, number one, and we're going to talk a little bit later about Immanuel Kant's views on suicide and laziness and some other things like that, if I get time and feel like it. So what would you do in this situation? Do you throw the fat guy over? If you stop to ask a bunch of physics questions, and you stop to ask a bunch of character questions about the fat guy in front of you and the 5 people we're going to save to see who's more valuable. Okay, I had a discussion yesterday about the Bo Bergdahl case with someone very close to me who basically said he wasn't worth shit because he was a deserter. But do you think this man had enough information to make that judgment? I'll tell you exactly what this man wanted to do. He hates this administration. There's nothing this administration's going to do that is satisfactory in his eyes. So the moment he gets a nugget, twisted in any way he can twist it to try to use it as a weapon against the administration in his speaking, he will do that. That's okay. That's his choice. I just wish he knew he was doing that. See, I love it when people can be total assholes, total pricks, and just admit they're doing that. You know, come out and say, I'm an asshole. Dennis Leary did it. He's my favorite comedian ever. Half the people that do this, probably 3/4 of the people that I've heard, I don't agree with them on most shit. I'm a friendlier guy in general. I believe you don't insult people if you don't need to. I believe you do correct them if you have to clarify for a wider audience, because that saves people time. That saves people trouble. That contributes to the grand total of intelligence running around out there. And I like the people in my country to be as intelligent as possible. I'm not going to decide that I hate an administration so bad that everything they do is going to be evil. That's not being reasonable. But if you admit it up front and you just come out and tell me, I fucking hate this administration, I can't stand him, I can't stand the president, don't like him because he's black, I'm going to take every piece of news I can find, cherry picking of course, that makes him look at least negative in some way, slightly or more than slightly, and I'm going to redistribute that information. I'm going to sing it like a songbird and watch it hurt him if I can. Just tell me you're doing that. I'll have a lot of respect for you for that, because you're smart enough to see what you're doing. That impresses me. It's still fucking evil, but it impresses me because it's honest and it does show your intelligence. Look, I know the logical fallacies I'm making. I know the errors in my thinking model, and I'm okay with that because this entertains me. It makes me feel good inside, so I'm going to trade. I'm going to put aside that voluntary suspension of disbelief in order to feel good, because I like attacking this administration. Fuck them, fuck you, and fuck me, and that's the end of the story. This is a person who I respect because they're not playing games with me. They're not pretending that if only this administration would do something slightly differently, they'd like them, because they wouldn't. It wouldn't have mattered what this administration did. People that hated Bush wouldn't have mattered what his administration did, and I'm talking about the extreme ends. Most of us are somewhere in the middle. You know, we like an administration or we don't. We find it easier to hear good news about who we like and harder to hear bad news about them. But the logical, critical thinker hears it all and gives it all its due weight. Its due weight. Its due handicap. How valuable is this information, regardless of whether or not it pleases me or not? That's what our church is going to do. It's going to weigh information. And we have to see through all of our stupid critical thinking biases and And we're retarded when it comes to this. Can I say retarded? I don't want to offend people. I'm taking a new path in this show. I don't want to offend people unnecessarily. I need a word that means what retarded used to mean without using retarded. So I'm going to need your help on that, because the last thing I want to do is have some kid that's just semi-retarded be hurt by my words. Like he's smart enough to know that retarded is a bad word, but he just falls down a lot and walks into things. I don't want that kid to be mad that I've used this word, because everybody that knows me knows I don't mean that word to hurt. I'm trying to define something. So I need a better word for what I used to use retarded for. Since I'm politically correct sometimes is another word for manners, and you should know when you're getting into the extreme ends of political correctness. I think good manners is a good thing. Yeah, I'm going back to that. It's in my nature to have pretty good manners. It's just, professional courtesy, respect, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. That's who I am. I played around there with the evil side of myself. I've done some shows where I'm fucking Mother Teresa, and the truth is, like most of us, I'm somewhere in between. I believe in behaving with honor, and how you define honor is up to you. I believe that you should say things that, if you're lucky, in your thinking model, 30 years down the road you won't feel stupid about. And that requires forethought, some forethought. So maybe in this church, we're just going to worship credibility of information. And that doesn't mean that everything has to be proven scientifically, but it should have an overwhelming consensus in the logical and critical thinking areas, such that it has ample weight before we start taking it in and saying, this is going to be part of my foundation. Because otherwise you're either being told. Have you ever asked yourself how you got to be the way you are? Most people are not comfortable with this question, and we're going to play a clip in a minute that's going to touch on that just a little bit. Are you comfortable with how you got the way you are? Politically, religiously, psychologically, socially. How are you? Who do you hate? Who do you like? Do you try not to hate anybody? Do you hate pretty much everybody? How'd you get that way? Have you ever asked yourself that on a deeper level? Not just because you had a couple bad days. Maybe somebody kicked you in the face when you were a baby and you remember it. All right, I get that. So you're going to have some bad memories. But is that the reason that you are the way you are today? I think usually the answer to that is it is a big, complicated, complex mix of soupy stuff that comes from your chemical balances, your experiences, your DNA, your unchangeable, unmodifiable, the way it has to be DNA, and which it is modifiable now, but only through advanced medicine. And that'll be simplified one day, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how you were born, the physical structures in your brain, the way they act, if you're more left brain or right brain, your experiences, how have they played into it? Because if you remember, think about this for a second. Your experiences play into your personality just as much as anything else does. But were you not biased in some way when you had those experiences? And when you said, this experience feels like A, B, or C to me, were you not employing some kind of filters in your mind as to whether or not that experience was bad, good, valuable, invaluable? What was your filter applied to the situation at that moment? Because that is what you anchored in your mind, and that stayed there for your long-term memories. That stayed there. It's very difficult for you to have a point of view on an old memory and have that for a matter of a couple of decades, and then come in and change that point of view for that same memory, that same occurrence. That takes deep thought and a lot of debate in your own mind about what you thought was good and bad, about what you understood and now understand about humans and human behavior, about whether or not the experience was helpful or hurtful to you, or really immaterial and irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. These are all things you can only really learn later if you're willing to question your old memories in the context of your current belief system. Not a comfortable place for most people to go. They say, I've done the work, I've figured that one out. I say you never have it figured out, because your reality changes daily. that means that experience, if you think about it, should also change to some degree daily. Oh, Lordy, what's next? Who's in the... I don't know what's going on in chat. I can't remember. Is listener Alan Wayne, or is that Kim or Steve? I have a bad memory. You guys are going to have to forgive me. But before you get too excited, I'm going to tell you a guy. I'm going to play a clip from a guy here who thinks that basically the type of person I am is condescending. And I want you to listen to his reasoning. And I'm going to use all kinds of logical fallacies. I already know when I go after this guy, including ad hominem, probably a couple of straw mans. Definitely some argument from authority. I'm going to use some of those because I don't like what he said. But I'll tell you why I don't like it. I think you'll know when you hear it. Let's go ahead and throw him on. This is, I don't know how you say this guy's name, but he's getting pretty popular. He's like a magician / actor, Penn Jillette. Big guy with a ponytail. You'll know when you hear his voice probably. So let's play that real quick.
You've said a lot, sure. If you want to go to most or all, then no. But there's certainly people. There's a great quote by the physicist. What's his name? Weinberg? Oh, I don't want to. Oh, I hate getting. Yeah, is that what it is? Steve Weinberg. The quote of with or without religion, good people will do good things and bad people do bad things. But for good people to do bad things, that takes religion. I'm not sure that's word for word. Almost certain it isn't. But it's important. I think it's not religion. It's much deeper than that. My beef is not with religion per se. My difference of opinion is with objective and subjective reality. Einstein said, the big question is, when you turn away, is the tree still there? And I talked to Richard Feynman about this and Murray Gell-Mann. There's a feeling that in particle physics, the experimenter effect, a lot of that stuff is distorted. I believe very strongly that there is a physical reality that my perception does not change. Now, you can make the argument that we're all just brains in jars, the matrix, and that all of this is an illusion. And that is an airtight argument. You can't refute it. But let's just say it's not that. I think there's a real reality out there. And the people who say, I believe in God because I feel that there's some higher power in the universe, the problem I have with that is that once you've said you believe something that you can't prove to someone else, you have completely walled yourself off from the world. And you've essentially said no one can talk to you and you can talk to no one. You've also given license to everybody else who feels that. If you say to me, I can't prove it, Penn, but I have a feeling in my heart that there is an power over everything that connects us. Why can't Charlie Manson say, I can't prove it, but I have a feeling that the Beatles are telling us to kill Sharon Tate and that the race riots are coming? Why can't Al-Qaeda say, I have a feeling in my heart that we need to kill these particular infidels? Why can't the men who tortured and disfigured Ayaan Hirsi Ali, why isn't what they feel in their heart valid? The problem is, if you have a sense of fairness, simply by saying you believe in a higher power because you believe in it, you've automatically given license to anyone else that wants to say that. So I would rather be busted on everything I say, and I am. When you've when you've put yourself out on television and on radio as someone who really does believe in objective truth, there is not a sentence that I will say in this interview that won't get 3 or 4 tweets of somebody with information busting me on it. And they're right. Very rarely am I busted on something where I'm right. If someone's taking the trouble to let me know I've said something wrong, chances are I'm wrong. So, but that's the world I want to live in. I want to live in a world of a marketplace of ideas where everybody is busted on their bullshit all the time, because I think that's the way we get to truth. That is also what respect is. What we call tolerance nowadays, maybe always, I'm always skeptical of the nowadays thing. I don't think things get that much different.